Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we're going to do the intro for Pan Those Eyeshadows 2025. I hope you're all excited. This time I'm going to work on 7 eyeshadows, no face products this year, but 7 eyeshadows, and 3 of them are randomized from my whole collection. For 2 of them I have randomized the palette and I have chosen the shade from those palettes. And then I have randomized a palette which has not yet a pan in it. Maybe you remember 2 years ago when I did a pan in every palette. Well, I have received more palettes since then and I haven't hit pan in all of them. So I think I have 9 palettes that don't yet have pan in them. So I have randomized one of them and I want to hit pan in it. And whenever I'm done with that, I will choose another palette without pan in it to try to hit pan on. And that is the 6th shade, and the 7th shade will come from a focus palette because I really want more palettes with all of the shades showing pan in them. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So let's begin with the randomized shades that I had nothing to say about, and the first one I rolled in was this Too Faced Natural Matte Palette. I chose the shade Nudie, or I randomized it, so I didn't have anything to do with the shade or palette. And that's this one. I think this would be a pretty good contour shade for me. However, I am already working on 2 bronzers. One Franken and one real one. So I don't know if I want to use it as that or if I'm just going to use it a lot in my crease. Who knows? But here's a matte brown that I will try to hit pan on. Also, as I have been doing for the past 2 years, I think, I can roll out a shadow if I have used it 10 times. I usually don't use that rule, maybe once or twice a year. If it is a really difficult shade for me to hit pan on, maybe it's a matte blue. I don't use that many blues and mattes are so hard to hit pan on. So in some cases, I do want to practice that rule and just use it 10 times. Also this year I have a point system for how many times I use shadows, and after I have used a shadow 10 times I get a point. I think that's a good time to take a break if I need one. I haven't used it too many times, but I still have gotten a feeling for it. Maybe I've gotten some kind of a dip, that's always nice, but I do want an out if stuff gets too hard for me. Okay, so the next one comes from my Christmas Eve palette from Odin's Eye. And I randomized the shade Lemon Tart. So it's this shade right here. And you guys know that I am so intimidated by golds, also yellows. So this will not be the most fun for me to work on. I definitely think this will be one of those use it 10 times sort of eyeshadows and then roll it out. Because it is a matte as well. If it was a gold shimmer, maybe I would have used it until I hit pan because you often don't need to use it that many times. So maybe I would even hit pan in one of those in 10 uses. But a matte yellow, I don't think so. But I am going to use it 10 times, maybe get a little bit of a dip. I doubt it. It's Odin's Eye. They're really hard pressed. So we'll see. And the 3rd shade I have randomized comes from my Bang Beauty palette. Now I have 2 of these actually. I got one from Glossybox and they had done something with it. So all of these 3 were black. But then I received this one in a mystery bag and so now I have 2. But this one, I think all of the shades are intact and as they should be. And I chose this one because now I can work on shade number 6. And of course this was in the other palette as well. But in the other palette I had already hit pan on the white one and I haven't in here. So I thought I always like to work with white in every single look that I make. So if I'm working on this, I don't have to reach for another palette to have a white. So I think that will work out very well for me. So I'm going to try to hit pan on this lighter brown and this maybe white as an extra. Maybe as an extra pan, who knows. Hopefully we will hit pan in that one as well. Then I have randomized 2 palettes. One is my Vintage Glam. It is a little bit tricky to choose the shade, I would say, because none of my other shades that I'm working on really goes together with any of this. I feel like maybe I should work on this one or something, but my absolute favorite shadow in here is the Epic Love Story. I think that's the name. Yeah, Epic Love Story. I think this is so beautiful. So, so beautiful. I do have a little bit of a dip showing, so I'm thinking I could hit pan rather quickly. And even if it's not a shade that I would use on a day-to-day basis, I think using it just a few times might actually get me to pan. Also, I wanted to choose shimmers because all of those 3 that I showed you before were all mattes, you know? So shimmers, here we go. Maybe we can hit pan on something until the next update. Who knows? And then I also rolled in this palette. This is the I Need a Nude palette from Natasha Denona. It's one of my newest palettes. I bought it last summer. Yeah, a half year ago when I got married. And oh, it's actually exactly a half year ago since I got married. That's pretty big, especially considering we've been married for longer than we knew each other before we were married. That's crazy. I actually met him last February, like last year, 2024, and we got married in July. So yeah, it went fast, but I'm very, very happy with my decision. Anyway, I got to choose the shade in this one as well. And since I have so many brown leaning shades, I was thinking this one, this champagne shade, will go very well together with that. So yeah, I will try to hit pan on that one. And then we have the palette without pan in it already. So this is one of the 9 palettes that I have that doesn't show any pan. That's sad, right? So we're going to change that, and I'm going to try to hit pan on this. I think it's very hard to choose the shade which I want to work on because I don't really want to work on a matte because these are more brown leaning. We already have a lot of brown mattes to work with. But then this is very much like the Epic Love Story, even though the other shade is so much more beautiful. So I don't want to pick that one. So one of these, and it's not really summer. This is much more orangey leaning. So maybe during fall or something I could use that one. So I think I'm going to go with this shade. It's called Pretty. And I don't love the shimmer formula from ABH. Not in this palette at least. And this is the only one I've tried from her. So I'm not impressed so far, but I am working on some pink mattes in other projects. So maybe it would work good together with that. Who knows? I'm going to try to hit pan on it anyway. Not too excited about that palette, to be honest. And then the last shadow comes from a focus palette that I have chosen, and that will be this Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize palette. Hopefully I can get this out in a few months, and you know, we can choose another palette. So maybe we can have 2 palettes with all pans showing, who knows. But anyway, this is a quad, 4 shades. I have already hit pan in one of them, and I have huge dips in these 2. So I think I can maybe even hit pan on both of them this month because I often use them together. But since I do have a lot of brownie shades already, I'm going to focus on this one. If we hit pan in both, great. But I am going to focus on this one and really try to have a pan in it until the next update. This one will be pretty hard to hit pan on, I think. I have used this a lot, actually, this palette, and it's a pretty boring palette. It is a little bit too warm toned for me, but it works. I always feel somewhat pretty when I use it. It's very easy to work with. It's everyday shades. You can use it for whenever, really. I love this topper shade, but the other shades are like, nah, whatever. But I do like the palette somehow. I don't know how to explain it. I love the formula. It's really, really pretty. And the mattes are really like buttery, or like, yeah, it's just a different formula. I've never seen that anywhere else. So yeah, I do like it. I would like to see pans in all of these shades. I don't know how long it will take me to hit pan on this one. It does have a little bit of a dip, but I've used it pretty many times. So I think I will have to use it a lot to be able to hit pan on that one. But let's focus in on this one first, which probably means I will use the whole palette. But anyway, so those were my 7 shades. Maybe I should swatch them for you. Let's do that. Okay, so swatching it actually looks very pretty. Look at this. I would say it looks a little bit Easter-ish. Like, can you see those shades? Oh, I love this purple. That's the Epic Love Story from the Vintage Glam palette. This is the Charlotte Tilbury one. This is from the I Need a Nude palette. This is the ABH Glam to Go palette. This is the Lemon Tart from the Christmas Eve palette. This is number 6 from the Bang Beauty palette. And last but not least, we have the Too Faced Natural Matte palette with this shade right here. This one was much more orangey than I thought, so maybe these would actually go really well together, these 3 shades. I really feel like I should be swatching things more, because looking at it like this is something totally different from seeing the shades in the palettes. I mean, these actually go pretty well together. Sure, it feels like Easter when we have like purples and yellows together, but I like this. And here you can really see the difference between a Gloss Gods shimmer and like a Charlotte Tilbury versus the I Need a Nude palette and ABH. Like, they are nothing compared to the Gloss Gods shade. Like, it's crazy. I love Gloss Gods. Anyway, those are the shades. Do I think I can hit pan on something until the next update? Yes, the Charlotte Tilbury one I will really try to focus on. Maybe I can have the Gloss Gods shade out as well, but I'm not too confident that I would get anything else out. I will just try to work on it, try to get some dips here and there, and that's it for this update. I hope you're excited as I am, and I hope you'll stay with me on this journey. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great evening. Bye!